Good morning, and would like to really thank AmCham, for his opening remarks and being in attendance this morning, along with the DCG. We have other distinguished guests today, whether it's past chairs, former board members, current board members, and really, the tireless, committed staff of AmCham. Just once again, I'm amazed and grateful at what you've been able to accomplish here. I'm sitting here in the new community hub. It's a wonderful space. It's really coming together, and it's been a challenging last few months to be able to get through getting this place ready. And it's just unfortunate that we could not be together here today. But as Tara has alluded to, this inauguration has been a moving target for many of us. And in the situation in Hong Kong, it just seemed like we were headed for a return to almost as a business as usual. It looked like that was a possible outcome. And to now it seems like we have more unknowns, and it seemingly feels like we have a lot more steps to take, as a city, as a community, to consider how we open back up and let alone getting back to a new normal. So, and as we all know, this priorities address has been delayed several times. But as I'm coming to you virtually, here in this brand new community hub in the heart of Central at the Diamond Exchange building, the environment has changed drastically since January, when we would have normally done this and kicked this off. But like all of you, the aura of COVID, the pandemic, is likely weighing as a top priority in many of your minds. And I will say it is certainly part of our key priorities this year. But before we dive into the chamber priorities, I do, as AmCham alluded, want to recognize our past chair, Jessica Bartlett, and thank her for her leadership and service to the chamber in 2021. And frankly, the years before that, before she became chair. And as we all have experienced, it was a year that presented many challenges, but she leaves us with a strong foundation in 2022. And with that, I'd also like to welcome Jeff Siebengartner as the new vice chair for 2022, and Sabrina Lin as the treasurer, who's taking over for Ann Riordan this year. And thank you, Ann, for your dedication and commitment to the chamber. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes that I was introduced to, and realized that there's just a lot of effort, from all the board members and AmCham that happened to make things run smoothly. And lastly, I'd like to welcome our new board members for 2022. We've been able to put together a great diverse group of industries and individuals represented here. And I'm certainly looking forward to the transformational year that we're going to have in 2022, and working alongside each of you to make that happen. And then lastly, there is one more important item I want to mention, and this, Tara has been instrumental in the success of the chamber over the last 5 years that she's been the head. She's led us through some extraordinary times, and while positioning the chamber for a solid and relevant foundation going forward. I certainly cannot mention everything Tara has done in support for the chamber. It's just numerous. The list is very long, but she will leave her fingerprints across what we've been able to accomplish. And some of those things are, continuing the transparent flow of information through our business sentiment surveys and our advocacy work. And I'll touch on more on that later as a priority. Engaging our committees in a manner that add value to all our membership, and creating an energized group of people. The excitement and the commitment I see from talking to everybody is truly outstanding and amazing. And Tara, you had a lot to do with making that happen. Kicking off our social impact series, which I will talk about more as well, that touches many areas of importance, not only for our businesses, but for the society and community of Hong Kong. It's going to be very important that these remain relevant for us going forward. And then serving as a strong voice and honest broker when it comes to advocating on important issues relating to government, business, and international relations. And as well as finally initiating the transformation to Chamber 2.0, culminating in the opening of this beautiful new community hub and collaborative thinking engagement going forward. So Tara, thanks again for your service and dedication to Hong Kong and to AmCham. We'll forever remember, and we hope that you continue to be a part of what we do going forward. So 2022 is a milestone year for the Hong Kong SAR. It does mark the 25-year establishment of the SAR and the one country, two systems in Hong Kong. And any other time, an anniversary of significance should be worthy of celebration and bring positive feelings reflecting on the success Hong Kong has represented as Asia's world city. That said, this year has started with a huge challenge facing us. with uncertainty around testing, quarantine or isolation requirements, travel restrictions, potential lockdown measures, rising death rates. The COVID situation has put enormous pressure on our community, both people and businesses. This is further emphasized by the data from our sentiment survey for 2022, citing that 40% of the respondents are considering leaving for personal reasons, and 25% of the businesses are considering moving as well. But 2022 is the year of the tiger, symbolizing resilience, courage, and wisdom. These words reflect the nature of Hong Kong and the people who live and work here. It also gives me a sense of optimism and excitement. With the myriad of global issues we are currently facing with COVID, geopolitical instabilities such as the conflict going on with Russia and Ukraine, US-China relations, economic sanctions, and the viewpoint of the viability of Hong Kong as an international finance center, our priorities must focus on what we as a chamber can do to support businesses and each other in Hong Kong. But not just American businesses, but the international community. We saw that a net 9% of the AmCham members still see an improved business environment over the next year. So it is paramount that we build community to thrive in Hong Kong. So let's start with resilience. One of the most pressing priorities is how we navigate through this current pandemic in the situation that we have today. As we begin this third year of the pandemic, how we move through the year remains not just an important priority, but also a very strategic one. We have to remain resilient as a community to support each other through these challenging times. Regardless of the actions of the Hong Kong government, it is important that we are always striving towards constructive solutions between all stakeholders. We want to leverage the American pillars in Hong Kong, whether it's AmCham, the US Consulate, the American Club, AWA, the Charitable Foundation, and even our international schools to come together and offer vital and timely information, resources, and the support to fast-changing policies in the landscape that are in front of us. We need to communicate regularly with the Hong Kong government and amongst each other when feasible to not only ensure that our community's concerns are heard, but also to leverage the vast network of expertise that we have. We welcome this open engagement with everybody. We represent global leaders in logistics, healthcare, and community service that can provide added value in the effort to fight against the pandemic. While we see that most of the world outside of Hong Kong has taken a different approach with COVID, we must recognize that many of the challenges that our businesses face, such as significant attrition and talent drain, manpower shortages due to testing and quarantine policies, and in some cases, permanent closure or relocation. Maintaining our resilience in 2022 largely falls in how we navigate through this pandemic and its impact to the economy, both locally and internationally. With the support of our law committee, we actively looking to re-engage more with the Hong Kong government through the International Business Committee, or the IBC. This has been a challenge in the most recent years, but we see that communication is essential in working together to ensure our concerns are heard and to leverage our members in a constructive way. But we must not only focus on our businesses from a tactical level, but engage our pillars to work with and support the local Hong Kong communities that do not have access to the same resources such as healthcare, supplies, clothing, information, and just overall general support. Let's use our presence to show that we support Hong Kong and that we can make a difference. Looking at wisdom, AmCham has a vast network of expertise amongst our members and their associated industries. Tapping into our resource provides value within the business community from not only our connectivity, but the wisdom to guide and support our members. We do this through our advocacy efforts. So we will continue to make advocacy a priority in 2022. This will serve as one of our primary areas of communication to work alongside the Hong Kong government, the US government, here locally with the US Consulate, and other chambers and business organizations. Our committees play a vital role in highlighting issues that affect business and doing business in Hong Kong. We will also lean on past activities such as door knocks, whether they're virtually or in person, events and series like our China series, and the monthly committee meetings to ensure that our members' priorities are represented appropriately when governments enact policy that affect our region. US-China relations will always remain an important aspect to understand how our business function in Hong Kong. With the emerging themes of the national security law, rule of law, and even the recognition of the SAR anniversary, the Chamber encourages open dialogue with Chinese and Hong Kong officials to strengthen our relationships to ensure business can continue to grow and thrive during these uncertain times. Our members have expressed pessimism over the strength of rule of law and data freedom, two areas that are seen as strengths of Hong Kong and values of the Chamber. Our advocacy will be essential in communicating this importance. Another area of advocacy that I'd like to highlight would be in education and technology. Hong Kong is ripe with talent and opportunity in these areas. We want to drive the development of innovation and technology ecosystem in Hong Kong. Our members have already established Hong Kong as a desired marketplace for innovation, discussion, and connectivity. And this is to highlight the changes required to ensure growth in the technology space. Further, ensuring that we can provide support for our education professionals and the local youth education foundations by focusing on direct impact through projects in coordination with multinational companies, educational institutions, NGOs, and the government. Our technology committee has been very active in this space, driving discussion around entrepreneurial global trends in the digital space, like digital currencies, NFTs, and of course, the metaverse. We must take advantage with our representation in the education and technology space, as there is positive sentiment that the Hong Kong government supports innovation and research and development. This is going to be critical for the next priority that I want to get into, which is the Greater Bay Area, which is the last area under what I want to call the wisdom bucket. There really has been a renewed vigor around the opportunities of GBA. 60% of our businesses already operate within the GBA, and 2 out of 5 actually plan to expand their operations over the next 3 years. This is very significant. The Chamber will be standing up a GBA-specific council consisting of key leaders across multiple industries, and we will work together on promoting the values of GBA, of not only for the Chamber, but across all the Hong Kong business environment, and to help drive investment into the GBA. More specifically for Hong Kong, we're excited about the opportunities presented by the Northern Metropolis and the education and work opportunities for the young people of Hong Kong. Further, with legal and regulatory uncertainty being highlighted as a top business challenge, this council will aim to focus on providing clarity and support to organizations seeking to take advantage of the opportunities that the GBA will offer. So the final area for 2022 Year of the Tiger is courage. Let's start with social impact. Last year, our social impact series garnered an incredible response and feedback from our members that it is a shared priority and value that we support each other and our business's goals and objectives. How we support each other in our business goals will define who we want to be as industry leaders. Why is this under courage? I really feel that focusing on these social impact subjects takes courage as a business to step forward and make an effort to support priorities that are important to people. Thus, we will continue with our social impact efforts with events focusing on mental health, especially sustainability and ESG, the future of work, diversity and inclusion, and of course, the women of influence. Further, the Future Leaders Program will continue again this year, and I'm excited to welcome another group of rising young executives from our community to be leaders in our businesses in Hong Kong. We will also be engaging in new efforts to partner closer to the Hong Kong community through activities with NGOs, our charitable foundations, and member companies. Many of our businesses rely on support from the local communities, and we will make a positive impact by offering our support back to them through the numerous channels that are in front of us. And then with that, as part of our courage, is AmCham 2.0. This was a term that came up last year and continues to be a transformational initiative in 2022. More so than before, we embark in a courageous effort to transform the way the Chamber has operated from the past. With the opening of this new community hub, which we'll get a chance to go on a tour later, we intend to move our Chamber into a more collaborative network focused on driving value for members doing business in Hong Kong and engaging in that constructive manner with government officials, whether it's our own consulate or the Hong Kong government itself. AmCham is committed to Hong Kong with the purchase and establishment of the community hub in the heart of Central. This space is a unique model inspired from local Hong Kong architects and designers, Gary Chang from Edge Design and Rick Lam with Architecture Commons. And it incorporates the values of the American Chamber into the locally inspired design, reflective of the Hong Kong spirit. I want to recognize Gary, Rick, and their teams for their effort in realizing our concept of a community hub. Our members are committed to Hong Kong and see positive aspects of Hong Kong from our last sentiment survey. about 39% of our members companies indicated plans to increase staff over the next 12 months. I want to be able to welcome those new staff members here at the Hub. This is an exciting time. Although we face many immediate challenges now, we hope to leverage the partnerships with the American Pillars, our members, and invite our other business chambers to come visit and collaborate with us as we work to move forward with our priorities in 2022. But in closing, I want to thank you all again for attending this virtual address today. Our priorities are clear in navigating through the COVID and pandemic, continuing with advocacy through our committees and the industries and segments they represent, seizing the opportunity with the Greater Bay Area, focusing on social impact themes, and leveraging AmCham 2.0 with the opening of our new hub, which I must take a moment quickly to recognize the people that made this happen. We will plan to have an official event in the future once the situation allows, but I want to give a big thank you to Scott Lau for his effort in leading this project along with Rick and Gary. Also to Kevin Tranbarger for getting us organized, our contractors in Vivo and Vega, and of course our staff here, Katarina, Michael, Queenie, and your teams, and of course Tara, to make this all happen today. A lot of effort went on behind the scenes to really get to where we are today with the situation that we all had to face since January. And it is my hope that together with the priorities set, we can navigate the challenges while continuing to build on the future of Hong Kong. So remain safe, and let's get into the, I'm sure we have more time. We want to have more time for Q&A. Our committees are so active, and we have so many things that are on the table. And I think what we want to do is obviously, leverage the hub here as a centerpiece, as a center point, to be able to, introduce different means of technology and meetings to get that word out, to be able to communicate all the activities. And really the other part of that actually is trying to engage more with the Hong Kong government. And whether that's with the IBC or through other back channel means and with the consulate to communicate what our committees are working on and all the events that we're planning. We have a really robust calendar of activities coming up. Through our monthly board meetings, we want to present it there and have our board members be, or our board of governors be able to help advocate for those events, but at the same time, working our external channels through the Hong Kong government and together with the U.S. consulate, even most recently with the trade and economic portion. We've had several events already to discuss ESG topics and amongst real estate, to be able to move some of these initiatives forward. So, it's going to be a matter of leveraging, digital marketing, technology, the connectivity of the hub to get the word out, and actually our members to get the word out. We're growing in membership actually, and hopefully we can continue to expand that and bring people in so that they can be exposed to the many different activities that we have lined up. Well, certainly, the flight restriction and quarantine has been an ongoing topic. We've been able to we can engage in a way of letting them know our concerns, and I think a lot of work that AmCham and his group has done, with the conference call the other day, the meeting, and kind of clarifying, what's fact, what's not. And the position that the government is taking on that. All we can do at this point is, I think, just relay our concerns through communication, and hopefully influence that way, because it's been pretty clear that it's been almost one way in terms of how they've reacted to this. And but what a good example of where possibly this kind of activity will be beneficial is recently with the education committees and the education professionals in international schools and the work that they've done, talking with the education board and allowing curriculum to continue in a lot of international schools when the news came out about the early summer break and things like that. So there's some, I kind of remain optimistic in the sense that at least they're listening, and whether how they act on that, is really dependent upon, the government's view on those things, but certainly we'll continue to relay the concerns and from the members.
AmCham, did you want to add anything to that? No, I just wanted to echo everything that Joe said, that we're working very closely, not just with AmCham, but with other stakeholders, including many of the other consulates in the city, to press the Hong Kong government for more transparency, more engagement with us, to remember the foreign constituency that's such a vital part of what has made Hong Kong successful. One thing that's extremely important to us is avoiding parent-child separation, having more flexibility for people who do test positive, particularly if they are asymptomatic or mild cases. And on the specific issue of flights, we're also working with other consulates to talk to senior officials to press for a more flexible approach on that as well. So this is ongoing. I think everyone is reading a lot of the material in the press about how discussions are taking place within the government, and it's not necessarily clear exactly what's going to be rolled out in terms of testing later this spring, but we're trying very hard to be part of that process and make certain that our interests are recognized.
That's actually still going to be an important part of what we do, and a couple things here. One, the Chamber has introduced a program with the help of Jeff Siebengartner with the ICIS, and actually getting our members exposure to how things work in Washington, D.C. And I think that's going to be important because we want to continue, whether it's the door knock through the door knocks and other virtual events right now, to continue advocacy in Washington, to make sure that the folks understand, what we see as businesses in terms of what's happening on the ground in Hong Kong. We're, I'm an Army guy, and it's what's happening on the ground that we have to get feedback on, so that everybody back home knows the right sentiment. And I think it's going to also be working closely with Hanscom and his group as well to be able to convey those messages. And then the last piece is, Tara is going to be in the U.S. and we're looking at creating an alumni relationship with former members in the U.S. that could actually help us with those advocacy efforts in Washington as well, if we're still in the situation where travel is going to be limited.